Hello, Bells Up Studio, and welcome to today's cardio session where you can get by in the total amount of class with just 2 kettlebells. Make sure you hit pause and check the description section for the key movements that are coming up so you can pick your weights accordingly. We have a fun wavy rep set today to do. I'm going to lead you through a warm-up as always, and then we're going to go through a short burst segment of 20-second on intervals with a few kettlebell movements and some hollow hold practice so we really work on core engagement in that set. You will need a kettlebell for the warm-up. We're going to do some arm bars with it, and you have an option to do a double kettlebell Romanian deadlift just to warm up your hamstrings and your hinge position, or use just one of those bells. So that is meant to be pretty light. Let's go ahead and start out with some snow angels. So we're going to work our upper back, our shoulders, and just get a little mobility work because we do have some upper body focused movements today. So go ahead, just lay on your back with your feet in front of you. You're going to bring your hands into a position where your arms are kind of out to the sky. It's sort of like described as a scarecrow position sometimes. And I want you to concentrate on pushing your upper back into the floor. So you almost feel like your rib cage is pushing into the floor. Now take a breath in through your nose. And as you breathe out, I want you to reach your hands fully overhead and extend them. And then take an inhale again, pull your elbows in towards your sides. So we're going to be in this position for about 40 seconds. And what I want you to concentrate is just getting some movement through your back, trying to keep your rib cage connected to the floor as you do this, and reaching your arms as far up and then as far in as possible. If I was in a seated position doing this, I would almost look like I'm doing a pull-up. So I'm thinking of elbows pulling down and into my sides. The floor is there to support your back, so you really can feel your back muscles moving on the ground. There's something tactile there supporting you. You're going to be in this set for another 15 seconds, and then we're going to switch to our first side of the armbar, which we'll take on our left side. If you are not confident yet doing your armbar with a weight, you're going to use just your body weight for this and work on a strong lockout position with your knuckles up to the ceiling. Let's go ahead and come out of the snow angel in 3, 2, and 1. Let's go ahead and grab your kettlebell for your armbar, or again, you can take this one just body weight. So remember, when we come into this, we're going to start in the fetal position. So join me here. Roll onto our backs. Bell will come up. Arm is in a strong lockout. So wrist is right over the shoulder. And if I came and tried to move your arm, it wouldn't be able to move. Opposite leg is straight. Kettlebell side leg is bent. Opposite arm is also straight. And you're just going to push yourself over. So you sort of roll onto your side with your shoulders stacked. Don't mind me. I kind of like got the sun in my eyes and lost my balance for a second. So I would recommend not staring into the sun when you're doing an arm bar. You want to make sure that arm stays straight. And again, if I came over to you and tried to wiggle that arm around, it would not move. So now you're going to think of trying to bring your top hip as far towards the ground as possible and just gazing up slightly at your kettlebell. You can tuck your chin a little bit here and feel a nice stretch in your neck. And you should just feel like you're in a supported position here. So your core is still working, but you're able to relax a bit in this position. So you guys are seeing this from the back for me. I'm trying to attempt as best I can to keep my hips stacked, to keep my hip that's on the ground and my shoulder that's on the ground as much in one line as possible. Again, don't do these in the sun because I feel like I gotta switch my side because I can't actually see and lost my kettlebell there. Don't be like me in this one. We've got 3, 2, and 1. Go ahead and bring your bell down. I'm gonna actually turn this way so I can do the arm bar without blinding myself and losing my weight. So let's go ahead and get the bell into position to come into your other side. So go ahead, lay down. You'll bring your bell up. Oh my God, so much better. Bring your opposite arm straight, opposite leg straight, and then push yourself over. So I'm actually doing my same side just because I flipped around, and so you guys can see the front. But you are for sure switching. You're just going to hold here and breathe. So we're in this position to start feeling out the lockout, feeling the bell on our wrist, getting a little bit of a stretch in the neck. So just breathe in, breathe out. Try to squeeze your armpit a little bit here and see if that helps you to keep a strong connection to the weight. You're going to squeeze your pinky finger around the bell handle here as you hold this arm bar. We're going to be in this one for about 15 seconds more, and then we're going to take some quadruped reaches. So you won't need your weight for that. It's just going to come down into a spot next to you once you disembark from the arm bar here. Let's bring the bell down in 3, 2, and 1. So gently roll to your back, keep the bell up in the air, pull it to your chest, let it pull you down into the fetal position, and then roll yourself over. So let's use this little transition time to get ready to come right into the quadruped. So what we're going to do here is Bring ourselves shoulders over wrists, knees underneath the hips, and we're just gonna push one hand down and reach the opposite hand up. So I want you to think of reaching up as you push down. Then you'll take that hand and push it down into the floor, lifting the other side. So our goal here is to get some rotation through our thoracic spine. So our upper back is getting that rotation. And if you're tight here, it might make doing ballistic movements, weighted movements, even just moving well through everyday life kind of challenging. So some of this mobility work for your thoracic spine, getting rotation, is very important because think about most of your day. Most of us are not really rotating a lot during our daily life unless you're doing Bells Up Studio classes, which we definitely try to incorporate a lot of rotation in these classes. Start connecting your breath with your movement here. So you're going to breathe out as you reach up, breathe in as you bring that hand down. You're going to be in this one for another 3, 2, and 1. Our final set here, we're going to take those Romanian deadlifts. So remember, the difference between your Romanian deadlift and your conventional deadlift is that the Romanian style, we are not touching the floor with the weight. We are going partway down with a narrow stance. We're working on a little more of a stiff leg position today, so I want minimal bend to your knees. You can either hold one kettlebell around the handle, or you can hold both of your kettlebells in separate hands in front of your shins like this. So whatever works best for you today with where you're at for your warm-up. So go ahead, bring your bells or bell into place under you. We're going to pick your bell up through a hip hinge in 3, 2, and 1. So my shoulders are stacked over my hips. I'm maintaining that feel as I stand and pick up my weight. You can move your feet in a little bit, especially if you have 2 bells. Then you're just going to send your hips back with a slight bend in your knee, letting the bells or bell just graze your body here. So I'm really emphasizing the bell staying close to my body, getting a bit of a stretch in my hamstrings. My chin is in a neutral position. My head is facing forward as I go down. I might not end in a full tabletop position, like shoulders in line with hips. That is totally fine here. I want you to go maximum hips back. So wherever your body tells you to stop without your knees bending forward is where you'll go here. Now grip your handle really hard and squeeze your armpits here. Almost pretend like you're going to rip the handle in half, and notice how your back activates a little more there. This should feel like a nice easy stretch, especially for your hamstrings. We're going to be going into deeper hinges today, more swing style positions. So swing cleans, you have push presses coming up. We're warming up our upper back. We also have a squat, push press or jerk, and swing clean wavy rep set. So that's what you have to look forward to today in class. You're going to be in this position for 3, 2, and 1. So we're done with the first part of our warm-up. We're going to go into a 20-second on, 40-second off, 3-round set of 3 movements that include double push presses, double swing cleans, and hollow holds. The hollow hold has a little different timing, which I'll get to, but I want you to take out the weights that you're going to use for class today, because this is going to give us a little practice in the swing clean position and in the push press position. I'm going to have you slow down the movements just a little bit so we get nice and warm in these positions before we actually go into our intervals for today's cardio set. So get those 2 bells out that you're going to use later, and we'll get started with our hollow holds. The way to make your cardio hit different is to do it outside in the sun, which if you're using kettlebells, you're lucky. You could probably do that, especially I know some of you are carrying these out to a beach or doing these, out in your backyard. Best place to work out in my opinion. Okay, so we're gonna hit hollow holds. 20 seconds in the hollow position, followed by a 10-second break, followed by another 20-second hollow hold. This is not staying true to the 20 on, 40 off interval that we're working through today. We're going 3 rounds through everything that we're gonna do. Your second interval, 20 seconds on, double swing cleans. Your third interval, 20 seconds on, double push presses. We're gonna practice holding the swing clean slightly in the rack and holding the push press slightly at the top. Again, these are double weights. You wanna make sure you can clear a full lockout here. The push presses might feel a little easier than some of the upper body movements. I want you to remember today that this is a cardio session. So this should not be a session that you are using the heaviest weights possible. It should be nice moderate weights so you can really move. Hollow position, I'm cool with your feet being on the floor, your legs being up to 90 degrees, or your legs being straight in front of you, whatever version works best for where you're at today. We're gonna take 20 seconds pushing our upper back to the floor, rolling ourselves up, looking at our belly button, and taking short compressive breaths out of our mouth. So let's go ahead and start here. Hands can go behind your head or straight up with fingers towards the sky in my case, or the ceiling. Let's go ahead and bring yourself into position. We'll go for your first 20 seconds in 3, 2, and 1. So my back is on the floor. This is position 1 with my feet pushing to the ground. If you feel this in your lower back, I want you to concentrate on position 1 here, pushing your rib cage into the floor, thinking of keeping your belly button pulling slightly towards the floor or just getting hard, a nice hard feel. You're here for 3, 2, and 1. Bring yourself to the floor. You can roll your legs out a little bit side to side here. Remember, we have 3 rounds of this. You have plenty of time to come back into some more advanced positions here. Let's go 3, 2, and 1. So legs up at 90, feet are flexed. Is the next position here. So again, I'm keeping myself connected to the floor through my rib cage, through this portion. If you have a little space between your back and the floor, you are fine there. All of us have different spines. You're here for 3, 2, and 1, and it might feel different for each person. So don't force yourself to fully push yourself into the ground if that's not what your body does. We do want to think through here, pushing down and engaging our core. Let's go ahead and bring your weights in front of you. We're going to start out with our set of swing cleans. There's no rep count for you, but I want you to catch them in the rack and hold them there at least 2 seconds. We're going to take a 20-second on interval. I'm going to give you a little time since this is our first round of this before we go into the swing clean. Remember, we're using our hips to lift the bells. You should be in a nice deep hinge, deeper than the one that we did in the warm-up. Let's go ahead and bring our bells up in 3, 2, and 1. So I'm going to hold 2, 1, and then gently drop the bells. Once I get to that bottom position with the weight, I'm thrusting and bringing them back up. Notice I'm breathing out as my hips extend, not here as I catch the bells. 3, 2, and 1. One of the most important things you can learn when you are swing cleaning is the breath. I think it's one of the hardest parts to connect to in the beginning parts of this movement because we want to use the breath to lift the weights. So if you're breathing out here, you're not actually using it. You've already finished the movement. We want to use that breath to help us execute the hinge and the lift. Remember, it's all about managing pressure with our breath through our core, and that is one way that we do it with the ballistic movements like the swing clean and even a little bit like the push press that's coming up. We're going to bring our bells up, take double push presses here, and the next 3, 2, and 1. So some of you might bring your feet in a little bit like I do. It's a personal preference. You'll dip and push. We're going to hold here for 1, 2, pull them to the rack. Dip, knees forward, hold 1, 2, pull them to the rack. We want to make sure we're going straight up and getting nice vertical motion. So heels can come off the ground. Finish up your last push press here. 3, 2, and 1. Set your bells down gently. Remember, the rep isn't over until your bells fully touch the floor. Speaking of touching the floor, let's go ahead and come down to the ground. So the big thing in your push press is that you want to remember your legs are there to help you. This is not just an arm movement. Your hips are a main driver here. So we want to really get your hips moving. So think of that little hip drive helping you lift the weights. We have 2 more rounds of this set to do before we go into your final set of intervals. So let's go ahead, lay down on your back. We're going to go hollow hold of your choice. 20 seconds on, 10 seconds off, 20 seconds on. I'll show you the third progression here. Let's go 3, 2, and 1. So number 3 progression, I'm keeping the rib cage on the floor, arms come up, legs come forward. I'm squeezing my legs together. Some of you might even feel it more if you squeeze your heels together here. It's almost like a little mermaid tail. Some of you might be able to bring your hands along the line of your ears. Hold here, 3, 2, and 1. You can shake out your low back. If you feel like you're popping off the floor and you lose control of your core, that is not the variation for you. Let's go ahead and take your next set. 3, 2, and 1. Resting in 3, 2, and 1. Let's come up and get your swing clean second set. Push presses are coming up next. You don't have a lot of time to rest in this one. We're going right into your swing clean set. Let's pick them up in 3, 2, and 1. The other thing about the swing clean is we want to keep them close to the body. So I'm not dumping them forward and letting myself get pulled. That's where we start to experience the bell hitting ourselves. So I'm always thinking, can my elbows stay kind of close? I just hit my bells there, but I would actually prefer you maybe get a little love tap, 3, 2, 1 with your bells, then casting them in front of you. The more that you pull them here, the more energy you're expending inefficiently. You're here resting for another 30 seconds. So roll your shoulders back. Use this time just to kind of move around. Keep yourself breathing. Start thinking about what's coming next. Did you get that full extension in the push press? Will you be maybe increasing your weight? Will you be pulling back your weight? Because you're like, okay, I don't know how fast I'm going to be able to move in these push press sets. Breathe in through your nose. Breathe out through your mouth. Let's take your second set of push presses. 3, 2, and 1. Remember, we're still in your practice set for your session today. Same thing here. We're breathing out as the bells come up. You have 5 seconds. Finish up your set. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Bells come down. Final set of hollow body holds here. I don't know if you guys noticed too, this is the first class I filmed. I switched up the plants in the back. So the cacti are over there. We've got this one here, and I'm trying to like tuck leaves in as we go to not hit my head on plants as we do class, which again, I think that's how it should be. We should be, any one of us should be so lucky to be outside in the middle of a green space throwing around some iron. Let's go ahead and hit your last hollow hold set. First interval coming up in less than 10 seconds. Rib cage to the floor, belly button hard, hands behind the head. We'll go 3, 2, and 1. If your knees are up, I want them over your hips, not here. You're not going to feel tension here. It's kind of a rest. You're going to move them out. You might even try moving them a little more out, so you're somewhere halfway between straight legs and knees bent. 3, 2, and 1. Rest. Just shake your legs out a little bit here. You can go side to side. Breathe in through your nose. Breathe out through your mouth. Try to relax your shoulders into the mat. Let's get your second set. 3, 2, and 1. Some of you in the advanced version might even push your hands together like this as your legs are long. You're here for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Let's get ready to go into your final set of practice for your swing cleans. Why do we practice hollow holds? Control in our core, managing pressure in our core. Remember, this helps us through our weighted lifts, something that we need to be very good at. So it's good practice for that. Let's go 3, 2, and 1. Remember, our core, the muscles are not just in the front of our body where our abs are. They're wrapping all the way around our back. They are keeping us tall. So imagine you have like almost like a floaty or like a belt wrapped around a tree trunk, and it's helping to keep the posture and keep everything together here. That's a very simplistic way to think about it, but it wraps around this whole thing. You've got 3, 2, and 1. I gave you guys a few extra seconds telling you that terrible story about a tree trunk, but we'll keep going. Push press is coming up next. Remember this position in your push press. We don't want to be here. We don't want to be pulling our chest through. I know some of you are doing that right now. I want you to think about, are my shoulders over my hips when I finish this movement? That's what we're going for. No rib flare, no anterior pelvic tilt. If you're flexy through your shoulders, it might be easy to pull your head through. Think of everything in line. Arms in line with ears. Let's go 3, 2, and 1. I like breathing in on the down phase. You might breathe in on the catch phase and then out as you extend your hips. You're here for 3, 2, and 1. We have our full-on cardio intervals coming up next. I promise you your heart rate's going to get up, especially if you're using bigger weights here. We are going for every 60-second intervals through 3 things, 5 different times. I mean, it's a 15-minute continuous set. You're going to have intervals that change between 3, 2, and 1 reps of a swing clean, a double rack squat, and a push press. You also, if you know how to do a kettlebell jerk, can substitute jerks for push presses. It's going to make you go a little bit slower, but you're going to be fine. So if you know how to do a jerk, you can either do all jerks, you can mix between push presses and jerks, you can also just stick to the push press. Everyone doing this class should know how to squat, so I want you to think about your squat position as having an upright chest. Everything in this except the swing clean is pretty vertical. My hips are going down in the squat. My hips are going back in the swing clean. I'm getting a little more horizontal there, and I'm going straight up vertically with the push press. You will get the rest in the time that you're not completing the movements. For example, your first set is going to be 1 swing clean, 3 single rack squats, and 2 push presses. Your second set will be 2 swing cleans, 1 single rack squat, and 3 push presses or jerks. We're gonna move through that in that 60-second interval. So if it feels a little easy for you, I want you to go up and wait for this because you will have time to recover between sets. This is a slower cardio class, so you will have rest. You're not gonna be right in that next interval, so choose your weights accordingly. Go ahead and grab your bells if they aren't the one you've been using until now, and we'll get started with our cardio intervals. Interval, we have 1 swing clean, 3 squats, 2 push presses or jerks. We'll pick up our bells in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. So that's your first swing clean, just picking them up. You'll hit those squats, so 3 squats. If you're like me and you're squatting a little wider stance, you might move your feet in for those push presses or jerks. So that took me there just about 15 seconds, moving with intention. And when I say that, I'm not moving sloppily. I finish my clean. I finish each of my squats. I finish fully in my lockout each of my push presses. Something that kettlebell training will do for you is help you to slow down to speed up. If you're someone that likes to rush through things, say you like to lose the bottom of your squat a little bit, or you're kind of bouncing around with movement, slowing them down, giving yourself a little second count once you catch the bells and once you finish each position can be really beneficial. Your next one, 2 swing cleans, 1 squat, 3 push presses or jerks. You're gonna get ready to pick your bells up in just about 5 seconds. So 2 swing cleans, 1 squat, 3 push presses or jerks in 3, 2, and 1. So here's where I take that pause in the rack. I drop, I might stay wide, I might come down into my squat with a little different stance, I might change my feet for these 3 push presses. See how close you can keep your arms towards your ears as you're doing this and not turn into like this cheerleader Y position. If you're coming out here, it's gonna not feel nice in your shoulders after a while. We wanna think narrow and straight up without obviously hitting yourself in the face with the weight, which I have definitely done that before. And I think I've definitely done it on camera before. 20 seconds, 3 swing cleans, 2 rack squats, 1 push press or jerk. Then we repeat the whole thing 4 more times. This is your cardio set for today. Again, if your weights are feeling super light, by the second or third round, if you're not feeling like your heart rate is continuously up, I want you to up your weights by 1 weight. 3, 2, and 1, and 3, 2, and 1. That worked out well for us there. The reason I give you the option for the push press or jerk is if you haven't learned the jerk already, it's not something to teach in this class. You will need to do another program or sort of work on your form for the jerk. So I like them because if you feel like you're getting a lot of grinding on your shoulders, going overhead too much, the jerk you're dropping under the weight. So it's just a different sensation, and it can be nice to change up your overhead a little bit with jerks if you know how to do them. That's only if you know how to do them. So push presses, a little easier to learn at first. Jerks are just a little bit of a change in timing. So you have to kind of know how to move quickly and catch yourself before you take those on. Let's go 1, 3, 2, and 3, 2, and 1. So this is where we have 3 squats. 2 push presses or jerks. So the jerks I would be dip, drive my hips, catch the bells. You might find that the jerks take you a little extra time. I like to pause in that dip to make sure my shoulders stay over my hips because you don't want to drive through again and do this. I see that sometimes in the jerk. We again want to think of it as a straight up and down movement, a fully vertical movement. Your next set, 2, 1, and 3. 2 swing cleans, 1 rack squat, 3 push presses or jerks. Roll your shoulders back a little bit here. Remember, after this set is the one where your heart rate should start to stay pretty manageable, but definitely elevated. Let's go for your swing cleans in 3, 2, and 1. 1 squat, 3 push presses or jerks, Again, your cardio classes are meant to be there for your heart rate elevation more than how heavy your weights are. I know sometimes when we're into strength training, we want to really push ourselves with the weight. Today is the time to find that weight that feels just heavy enough to really make you work. So if it's starting to feel too heavy, like you're slowing down, you can't catch your breath, you feel like you might need extra rest breaks, this would be the time to take it down a notch in round 3. 3 swing cleans, 2 squats, 1 push, press, or jerk coming up in 10 seconds, and you're completed with round 2. We have 3 more rounds to go after that. Let's pick your bells up in 3, 2, and 1. 3 swing cleans. 2 squats. 1 push, press, or jerk. Something I've been working on in my squats lately is really owning the top. So we all feel like sometimes the bottom part is the hardest to do. We want to catch ourselves down there, but I'm trying to come out of the hole, exploding through the top, feeling my quads pull up, feeling my glutes clenching when I stand up. So my body almost feels like it's in a strong, stable plank at the top. We're about to start round 3. You're gonna have 1 swing clean, 3 squats, and 2 jerks or push presses. I want you to challenge yourself maybe to make your squats feel really crisp at the top. Can you feel like you're standing tall in that rack position, full of tension and ready to descend into your next rep with relative ease, feeling like you're tight and pulled together? Let's go 1, 3, 2, in 3, 2, and 1. Sometimes people ask me how far you need to go down in the jerk. You aren't squatting. So when you dip, it's actually a dip. It's not a full squat. So you shouldn't be feeling like you're traveling to the floor more than a few inches at a time. 2-1-3 is coming up. For context, you have about 20 seconds here. I'm starting to break a nice little sweat. Remember, this is not a high intensity class. This is a strong and steady cardio class, appropriate for intermediate. You can make it more advanced by choosing heavier weights here and still maintaining your speed. 2-1-3 coming up in 3, 2, and bells up. So 2, 1 squat, and 3 overhead. Those of you that are maybe newer to jerks, sometimes I really like to program combining them with a push press. So you can't really do it on the next round, but you could do it on the next 2 rounds. So the sets that we have 2 or 1, you could take 1 push press followed by a jerk, or 1 followed by 2, or 2 followed by 1 when we get to that rep count. It can help reinforce the pattern because your brain has to think through the differences in the movements back to back. So if you're someone that's like, I want some extra work in figuring these things out, combining them back to back can be a great way to practice that and help you to really nail that pattern. Okay, 3, 2, and 1 coming up in 3, 2, and 1. Again, this is the time to take advantage of time under tension. That means how long you're holding onto the weights. Even though it's a cardio class, you can move a little slower. You can hold that lockout. You can hold that rack position. You can hold the top of your squat or the bottom for just a little bit because you're still holding onto those weights. So your heart rate is going to be elevated for that reason. You have 2 more rounds of this. And I always say in the strategy for your last 2 sets, you should be kind of set with the weights you choose to use for those sets. So I don't want you to change unless it feels egregiously easy or egregiously hard for you at this point. Try to replicate how you felt in the past 2 rounds and perfect that technique. 1, 3, 2. Let's bring your bells up. This is round 4. One of the biggest things that helped me with the jerk was to imagine a wall in front of my face. Same thing in the push press. We want to think as much vertical motion as we can create in these. So can you do it with somebody standing in front of you? Or will you run into them? Or will you, if someone's behind you, stick your booty out into them? Imagine you're sort of between two walls executing this. You have a 2-1-3 set coming up in the second interval. We do this one more time after we finish this set. 2-1-3. You have 5 seconds here. Let's go ahead and pick your bells up for your swing clean. 2, 1, and 3. You'll notice today that I've been choosing to pull my bells down into the rack. That's one way to push press. I think oftentimes it's easier to control your bells in that position. You also can drop, catch, and stand. So this is kind of the position, if you're practicing the drop, that you would be in for the jerk. You have to be able to load your hips here and not your knees. So that version's a little more advanced. If you feel really confident in the drop, you can speed up your movements in the push press by taking them with that version. Okay, 3, 2, 1, final set in this 4th set here. You have 5 seconds to hit 3 cleans, 2 rack squats, 1 push, press, or jerk. 3, 2, and 1. So that would be the little drop. It just takes some practice. It takes some being confident with it, trusting your body to help absorb the weight and not have your shoulders do all the work. So if you're doing high reps of push presses, that can be advantageous because you're letting gravity and momentum help the bells come into the rack versus you having to resist them just a little bit to pull them down. Okay, 15 seconds. We're gonna go into our final set here in this cardio session. 1, 3, and 2 reps. 1 swing clean, 3 rack squats, and 2 push presses or jerks. Let's get ready. 3, 2, and 1. It's my swing clean. I'll hit my squats, finishing them fully. Last high set of squats there. Step out, bells come down. Shake your legs out just a little bit here. Breathe in through your nose. Breathe out through your mouth. This should be your best executed round. We should still feel pretty fresh during this session. This shouldn't feel like you're dying on the floor. And I want your technique to kind of have gelled by now. This is like putting the Jell-O in the fridge and having it form into the mold. We want to have our technique really feeling solid by this point in the class. This is what I call, like, for those of you that are runners, sort of like the runner's high of the class, when things start just to flow. Your body isn't as in much stress anymore. You feel like you can hold your positions without having to really try. Basically, your body's not in panic mode, so we can really execute. Let's go 2, 1, 3 in 3, 2, and 1. So 2 cleans, 1 squat, high set of overhead here. Bells come down safely. I have to do a PSA before our last set of we're not dropping our bells to the floor. At this point, you guys should know this, but you want to have control setting your weights down. And this is, if anything, if this is something that weight training teaches you, don't just drop things on the ground in your life. You want to control it on the way down. This is how we pull muscles. This is how we put strain on our low back. When we have the weight pulling us somewhere and we're not using that tension and managing that pressure. 10 seconds, and you guys are in your last set. You're finished with your cardio after this. We have 3 cleans, high set of cleans, 2 squats, and 1 overhead movement. Let's go 3, 2, and 1. 2 squats, 1 push press or jerk. Finish out your reps, set your weights down with care. I would say you don't really need more than that, but if you're feeling like you're in that sweet spot, you could take up to 8 rounds of this on your own. If you're more advanced, definitely can try that with the moderate weight, or keep this 5-round set with heavier weights. If you like this cardio session, hit favorite and save it for later. You can always do it again. This is a great one that's time efficient. You can do with traveling and with little limited equipment. I will see you guys in another class very soon on Bells Up Studio. Remember to get real, get strong, and get your bells up. Bye.